In the world of WWE, talent doesn't always guarantee fame. There are wrestlers who possess world-class skill, strong storytelling ability, and a burning passion for the ring. Yet for many different reasons, they never received the recognition they truly deserved. They might not have collected a long list of championships, but every time they appeared, they left an unforgettable impression. Today, we're looking back at some of the most underrated names in WWE history, the silent warriors who were great in their own way. Let's get started. Wrestling Sphere, go! Number 12. Bam Bigelow. In a world where giants often rely purely on brute strength, Bam Bigelow was a rare exception. Weighing close to 300 pounds, he wasn't just another big man. He was a unique blend of power, agility, and bold showmanship. From his diving cartwheels to surprisingly fast movement for his size, Bam did things that most people never thought possible for someone of his build. Bam started in WWF, then made major impacts in WCW, ECW, and even the intense wrestling scene in Japan. Everywhere he went, he stood out, not only for his in-ring ability, but also for his flame-tattooed head, an image fans would never forget. He captured the ECW World Heavyweight Championship and the WCW Hardcore Championship, but even with those accomplishments, he was still never recognized at the level he deserved. During his prime, Bam faced stars like Bret the Hitman Hart, Shane Douglas, and Chris Candido. Every match was a performance, intense, technical, and emotional. Even without being booked as a main event star, he earned respect through his heart, resilience, and total dedication to the craft. Sadly, Bam Bigelow's career never reached the peak it deserved. He wrestled in an era where big men were often seen only as wrecking machines rather than true performers. But his legacy lives on, a giant who could fly, an artist of the extraordinary. And if there were an award for best head in wrestling history, it wouldn't just be for the iconic tattoo, but for being a wrestler who dared to think differently, push boundaries, and rise above limitations. Number 11. Barry Windham. For many modern fans, the name Barry Windham might not spark many memories. But to those who experienced wrestling's golden years in the 80s and 90s, Barry was one of the most naturally gifted performers to ever step into the ring. He simply never received the level of recognition he earned. Born into a wrestling family as the son of legend Blackjack Mulligan, Barry seemed destined for the ring. But instead of relying on his father's legacy, he carved his own path through skill, speed, and brilliant ring awareness. He wasn't loud or flashy. Barry was the type of wrestler respected deeply by his peers and loved by fans, yet often overlooked by company management. His career was closely tied to major promotions like NWA, WCW, and WWF. He held the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the United States Heavyweight Championship, the Television Championship, and won the WWE Tag Team titles twice with his brother-in-law Mike Rotunda, later known as IRS. For many wrestlers, that resume would be enough to call them a legend. Barry was even inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as part of the legendary faction the Four Horsemen. Yet despite being part of one of the most iconic groups in wrestling history, Barry Windham was often overshadowed. Standing next to someone as larger-than-life as Ric Flair, the spotlight naturally fell on the Nature Boy, leaving Barry in the role of the unsung standout. He didn't deliver fiery promos, he didn't rely on dramatic gimmicks. What he brought was pure, seamless wrestling ability and the power to elevate every match he was in. Barry Windham represents professionalism and humility. He didn't need to shout to prove his worth. The ring spoke for him. And while history may not mention his name as often as others, to those who truly understand pro wrestling, Barry Windham will always be a hidden gem, quiet but brilliant. Number 10. Arn Anderson. When people talk about the legendary group the Four Horsemen, most immediately think of Ric Flair or Tully Blanchard. But without Arn Anderson, the group would never have had the intimidating, lasting presence it became known for. He was the backbone of the Horsemen, disciplined, tough, and always putting the team above himself. Arn Anderson earned the nickname the Enforcer, and that title describes him perfectly. Throughout his career, Arn was never flashy. He didn't need colorful outfits or loud speeches. Instead, he let his work in the ring speak for him. Every punch, every hold, every devastating spinebuster reflected his style. Simple, direct, and incredibly effective. That made him one of the most consistent and reliable wrestlers of all time. Alongside Tully Blanchard, Arn won multiple tag team championships, And in every match he was the one who controlled the pace, making sure the bout flowed logically and kept the audience invested. When he faced icons like Dusty Rhodes, Arn didn't hesitate to unleash brutal offense, embodying the true role of an enforcer. He wrestled with the intensity of a man who treated every match like his last. Sadly, many fans today only remember Arn for his spinebuster, a move so influential that generations have copied it. But reducing him to a single move is unfair. Arn was a master of in-ring psychology and storytelling, someone who made his opponents look their best simply by working with them. In WCW, he even used his own retirement storyline to elevate Curt Hennig, a rare act of professionalism and selflessness. Arn Anderson didn't need world titles or constant spotlight to prove his greatness. He was loyalty, foundation, and stability, a quiet giant who held up an entire era. He deserves to be remembered not just as underrated, but as one of the greatest pure wrestlers in history. Number 9. Curt Hennig. In WWE history, there are wrestlers you can watch once and immediately know they were born for the ring. Curt Hennig was one of those rare talents. He didn't just wrestle well, he wrestled flawlessly. His movement, his counters, his timing, and the way he told a story in the ring were so smooth and precise that you couldn't look away. Under the name Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig created the image of a man who never made mistakes, and the truth is, he really did come close to perfection in every aspect of his craft. His matches with Bret the Hitman Hart are considered classics, showcases of pure technical wrestling that few could ever replicate. He didn't need flashy risks or over-the-top theatrics. His pure skill was the spectacle. He won the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship, titles that proved he was a top-tier talent. Yet despite the ability, the charisma, and the respect he earned, he was never given a run as world champion. He came up during a time when WWE prioritized huge, muscular physiques, while Curt stood out for precision and finesse, something only true wrestling fans fully appreciated. Beyond the ring, Hennig was a gifted talker with effortless charisma. He could make the audience love him and hate him at the same time, a trait only true stars possess. Most importantly, he had the rare ability to make his opponents look better, a skill that defines elite performers. After his passing, Vince McMahon himself admitted that Curt Hennig raised the technical standard of wrestling in WWE. That is the clearest proof of the influence of Mr. Perfect. Curt Hennig wasn't just perfect in skill, he was perfect in spirit. He showed that greatness doesn't need to scream for attention. Sometimes, greatness is simply making everything look effortlessly perfect. Number 8. The Dynamite Kid. When discussing wrestlers who truly changed the face of the industry, the Dynamite Kid is impossible to overlook. In one word, pioneer. He was one of the most influential figures in shaping the modern wrestling style, where technique, speed, and pace blend into a level of precision fans of that era had never seen. Even Bret Hart, one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time, admitted that Dynamite Kid might have been the best wrestler he ever stepped in the ring with. Dynamite Kid stood out because he blended the styles of Britain, Mexico, Canada, and Japan into one explosive package. His technique was sharp, fast, and powerful, crafting matches that kept audiences on the edge of their seats from start to finish. His bouts weren't just contests, they were performances, showing that wrestling could be both athletic and artistic. His career peaked when he teamed with Davey Boy Smith to win the WWE Tag Team Championship, forming one of the most iconic tag teams ever. But the peak didn't last. In late 1986, a severe back injury halted his momentum. Even after doctors told him he should never wrestle again, Dynamite refused to quit. He pushed his body far past its limits, until one day, he collapsed into violent seizures at an airport, forcing an early end to his career. Today, Dynamite Kid is often remembered more for his troubled personal life and backstage controversies than his ring work. Some even judge his entire legacy based on those issues instead of his undeniable talent. But regardless of the flaws, Dynamite Kid remains an icon, someone who reshaped how wrestling was performed. Without injuries and personal struggles, he could have been remembered as one of the greatest of all time. Number 7. Brian Pillman. Before stepping into wrestling, Brian Pillman had already proven his athletic ability in football, but wrestling was his true passion. Under the rigorous training of Stu Hart, Pillman sharpened every detail of his craft in Stampede Wrestling, quickly standing out with his fast-paced, unpredictable, and clever in-ring style. His career rose quickly when he signed with WCW. There, he made a name for himself in the Hollywood Blondes alongside Steve Austin. In truth, Pillman played a huge role in helping Austin break out early in his career. Bryan won multiple tag team championships, but in WCW he was still often viewed as the guy behind bigger stars, never quite given the spotlight he earned. In 1996, Pillman joined WWF and soon became part of one of the most controversial segments in wrestling history, Pillman's Got a Gun. On live TV, he pointed a gun at Steve Austin, threatening to shoot him while chaos unfolded. The segment caused massive backlash, leading both Pillman and WWF to issue public apologies. To this day, that moment often overshadows the rest of his career. And that's unfortunate, because Brian Pillman was one of wrestling's most gifted performers. He was incredible on the mic, emotionally captivating, and a master storyteller. His in-ring style combined agility, technique, and unpredictability in a way that made every match feel exciting and different. He embodied the loose cannon persona, wild, intense, and completely mesmerizing. Today, too many people remember him only for controversy. But his talent and creativity are what should define his legacy. Brian Pillman was a misunderstood genius, one of the most underrated wrestlers to ever enter the ring. Number 6. Rick Rude. When talking about the greatest villains in wrestling history, Rick Rude must be mentioned. With a sculpted physique, striking presence, and natural charisma, he captured the audience's attention instantly. He was both a symbol of physical perfection and a master of character, from his expressions to the way he moved inside the ring. It's astonishing that someone with all the tools to be WWF or WCW World Champion never held either. Rick Rude debuted in WWE in 1987 and quickly established himself as a top heel. He wasn't just good in the ring, he was brilliant on the microphone, able to make the crowd hate him and enjoy every second of doing so. His matches against the Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper, and Sting became classics, graceful, powerful, and intense. He had a rare talent for elevating his opponents while still looking like a true threat. In 1991, Rude moved to WCW and continued to shine. He defeated Sting to win the United States Championship and developed strong rivalries, especially against Ricky Steamboat. Every time Rick Rude wrestled, the match felt meaningful, a blend of intelligence, athleticism, and presence that few could match. Unfortunately, his career ended far too soon. In 1994, after taking a suicide dive from Sting in Japan, Rude's back hit the elevated ringside platform, causing a severe injury that forced him to retire. Even without a long career or a world title, Rick Rude's legacy remains powerful. He proved that charisma, skill, and storytelling can be just as impactful as championships. Rick Rude was a master villain, and one of the most underrated performers the sport has ever seen. Number 5. Jake, the Snake, Roberts. In the world of wrestling, there are those who don't need muscles or championships to command attention. Jake, the Snake, Roberts was one of those rare figures. The moment he stepped into the ring, he radiated a presence that was hard to describe, something that made the audience both uneasy and fascinated. The way he walked forward, the cold stare he gave his opponents, every slow, methodical movement, all carried a sense of danger, cruelty, and realism that made people believe everything he did was real. Jake Roberts didn't just wrestle, he told stories in the ring. He was a master of psychology, always knowing how to control the emotions of both the crowd and his opponent. Every match he had felt tense and deliberate, where even the smallest detail, the way he grabbed someone, the way he threw them into a corner, or the way he used his signature snake, made the match unforgettable. His legendary feuds with Macho Man Randy Savage, Rick Martel, The Undertaker, and Ricky Steamboat are still considered some of the greatest examples of psychological storytelling in wrestling. What's remarkable is that despite never winning a major WWF championship, Jake is still considered one of the greatest talkers of all time. He didn't need to scream or act over the top. With just his calm, deep voice and the way he emphasized every word, he forced the audience to listen and feel. He inspired countless wrestlers after him, from character presentation to how to create iconic in-ring moments. A match featuring Jake Roberts was an experience you couldn't look away from. He knew how to build tension, suspense, and emotional investment better than almost anyone. That's why, even without big titles, Jake the Snake Roberts remains one of the most influential, yet underrated wrestlers in WWE history. Number 4. William Regal. Ask knowledgeable wrestling fans who some of the greatest performers of all time are, and William Regal's name always comes up, yet he's often overshadowed by bigger stars. And that's simply unfair. Regal possessed near-perfect skill, psychology, and in-ring storytelling. Every match he had felt like a lesson in pacing, strategy, and emotional depth. His long career brought him plenty of accomplishments, proving his talent and longevity. 4-time WWE Tag Team Champion, showcasing outstanding teamwork. 5-time Hardcore Champion, showing toughness and grit. 4-time European Champion, displaying his technical mastery. 2-time Intercontinental Champion, proving elite individual skill. And of course, King of the Ring 2008, a title that honors complete excellence. But what stood out even more was his command of character and presence. Regal could play anything: cunning villain, ruthless strategist, or proud competitor. He always made his opponents look better, elevating everyone he stepped into the ring with without needing flash or exaggeration. That's a skill only true professionals possess. Yet, if you're not a dedicated fan, you might overlook Regal when listing the greats. And that would be a mistake. He deserves to be recognized as a quiet master of the craft, disciplined, precise, and always fully committed to the performance. Today, over 40 years after his debut, Regal continues to contribute as NXT General Manager, shaping and guiding the next generation of WWE talent. His influence goes far beyond his own matches. William Regal is a brilliant wrestler whose greatness was often underappreciated, but never diminished. He is, and always will be, a true legend of professional wrestling. Number 3. Cesaro. When people talk about Cesaro, they talk about his incredible strength, flawless technique, and unmatched in-ring ability. Yet despite having everything needed to become a top star in WWE, he was never given the true spotlight he deserved. Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, is the kind of wrestler everyone respects. He could adapt to any style, technical, fast-paced, power-based, and excel every time. Whether it was a powerful European uppercut or the neutralizer, he brought energy that made the crowd erupt. But what truly set Cesaro apart was his ability to elevate others. Anyone who stepped into the ring with him, no matter their skill level, looked better because of his precision and versatility. As part of the Bar with Sheamus, Cesaro delivered some of the best tag team matches of the era against the New Day and the Usos. He also made his mark as United States Champion. Yet despite all this, WWE never gave him a run at the World Championship, something many fans consider one of the biggest missed opportunities of the modern era. He may not have been the most charismatic speaker, but Cesaro didn't need to talk loudly to tell a story. He spoke through action, intensity, and presence, something very few wrestlers can do. Now, after leaving WWE for new opportunities, Cesaro remains a symbol of dedication and passion. A complete wrestler. Humble, skilled, respected. A reminder that sometimes talent doesn't always get the recognition it deserves. Number 2. Shelton Benjamin. If there's anyone who truly defines the word underrated, it's Shelton Benjamin. He could do everything inside the ring: speed, strength, technical skill, athleticism. Yet WWE never treated him like the top-level superstar he absolutely could have been. Shelton first made his mark alongside Charlie Haas in the world's greatest tag team, where he won multiple titles and quickly earned recognition as one of the most technically gifted wrestlers in the company. But it wasn't until he began wrestling on his own that people realized just how special he was. His matches against Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Jericho proved that Shelton Benjamin could stand toe-to-toe with any legend. One of the most iconic moments in Raw history is still Shelton leaping mid-air straight into Shawn Michaels' sweet chin music, a highlight replayed for nearly 2 decades. Yet despite all the praise, Shelton was mainly kept in the mid-card, holding championships like the Intercontinental and United States titles, but never being given a real shot to break into the main event picture. Part of the reason may be that WWE at the time prioritized entertainment over pure wrestling ability. Shelton wasn't the loudest talker, but once the bell rang, his performance spoke for him. His style was about precision, timing, and explosive athleticism. Even when he returned to WWE years later, Shelton continued to be reliable, professional, and consistently impressive, always willing to help elevate younger talent. He is the definition of dedication and longevity, a diamond that was never polished as brightly as it deserved to be. Shelton Benjamin isn't just a great performer. He is an inspiration, A reminder that greatness isn't measured only by titles, but by passion, discipline, and the heart of a true warrior. Number 1. John Cena. Okay, before you start arguing, hear this out. John Cena is one of the most underrated wrestlers ever. Yes, that sounds strange considering his massive accomplishments, 17-time world champion, countless other titles. Yet there is still a portion of fans who chant, "You can't wrestle," every time he appears. And honestly, that's unfair. Lack of skill was never the issue. On the contrary, Cena is one of the best in-ring storytellers of his generation. His matches with CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, Kevin Owens, and more recently AJ Styles, are proof of how well he blends technique, intensity, athleticism, and emotion. Cena didn't just wrestle to win, he wrestled to tell a story, to make the audience feel something, to create drama and anticipation with every move. So why the criticism? Part of it came from how often he was on TV during WWE's peak PG era. Another part came from his heroic, always good guy character, a persona so clean and strong that some fans felt it was too perfect. That led to shallow criticisms like "Cena's boring" or "Cena can't wrestle," when in reality, he was doing what very few can do: keep the audience engaged every single night. His ability to elevate his opponents is also something rarely matched. He made matches feel bigger, made wrestlers look better, and helped build stars while still delivering top-tier performances. That's why, despite the boos, John Cena remained the backbone of WWE, respected by his peers and understood deeply by the fans who really know wrestling. So the constant mocking of his ability is not just wrong, it's a severe underestimation of what he contributed. John Cena is not only a megastar, he is a master storyteller, a professional in every sense, and one of the most influential wrestlers in modern history. Yes, John Cena is underrated. And anyone who has truly watched him knows it. And that wraps up our list of the most underrated wrestlers in WWE history. If you think this list hit the mark, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Wrestling Sphere so you won't miss any more exciting stories from the world of professional wrestling.